Jim's youngest sister was getting married, and we went down for the wedding. And we were ready to go home, and the grandfather died, so I had to stay another week. And just sitting around, his sister, Jimmy's sister, said, "What you gonna do when you go home?" I said, "Nothing." She said, "Why don't you come and go home with me for a couple of weeks?" I said, "Okay." So when her husband came in, she said, "Kat and Snook are going home with us for a couple. No, Kat's going home with us for a couple of weeks." He said, "Why don't you take Snook as the husband? I'll get them both a job." He said, there's a government facility there that has just begun to hire black women, and they want mathematicians. So that was the job.
And the job, he was talking specifically about what
was NASA's job. NASA was hiring female mathematicians, and for the first time that, this is a year or so, they had started hiring blacks.
And this was in the late 50s?
This was in the summer of 51. So when Jimmy came home, I said, "We're going to rent the Newport News." He said, "We are." I said, "Yeah, Eric said he could get you a job, and eventually could get me one." That's great. So we came down, and Eric introduced me to one of the supervisors who supervised the black mathematicians. Turned out I had met her, and she said, "Well, they're not hiring right now, but I'll get you an application and put your name in." And that was September of 51. And in June of 52, I got the job.
Now, when you say black mathematicians, you mean there was a separate...
Yes, there was a group of white mathematicians. And just a year or so before, I don't know how many years, they had opened it up for blacks.
So they were two separate groups?
Two separate groups.
But doing basically the same work?
The same work, right.
Did that seem like a strange arrangement to you?
No, to me it was, I was finally going to find out what a research mathematician did. And I'm hired. So while I was waiting for that job, I subbed at the high school here. And then I got a job as program director at the USO. And then I was offered the job, a permanent job at Huntington, and the job at NASA came through 24 hours apart. That's your luck. You either had nothing or everything. So I had to make the decision which I wanted, and I said, "Well, I came here to be a research mathematician. I think I'll try that one first." So the principal said, well, of course, the government paid more money. The principal said, "I'll pay you the same thing they pay you." I said, "I appreciate it, but I'm going to take the job as a research mathematician."